Welcome back to History Unveiled. I'm Alex.
And I'm Jordan. Today, we're diving into the pivotal events of June 1967, focusing on Christopher Mayhew's role as a dissenting voice in British politics and his evolving perspective on the Israeli-Palestinian conflict.
Welcome back to History Unveiled. On June 5, 1967, war erupted, framed by the Israeli narrative as a preemptive strike against an Arab world threatening annihilation. However, recent scholarship reveals a more complex reality. Israeli historians now admit that the narrative of imminent Arab aggression was misleading. What does this shift in understanding tell us about the historical context?
It underscores how narratives can be manipulated to justify military actions. Evidence shows that Israel was not merely acting in self-defense, but was engaged in aggressive militarization, particularly along its borders with Syria. This context is crucial for understanding the motivations behind the war and how they were framed in public discourse.
Egyptian President Gamal Abdel Nasser sought to pressure the international community over the Palestine issue and perceived Israeli expansionism as a direct threat. His actions, including the removal of UN forces and the blockade of the Tehran Straits, were responses to escalating tensions. How did these dynamics contribute to the outbreak of conflict?
Nasser's fears were rooted in real geopolitical shifts. The Israeli military's aggressive posturing created a climate of fear and urgency. However, it's also important to recognize the internal pressures within Israel, particularly from the expansionist factions advocating for a greater Israel, which exacerbated the situation by refusing to back down in the face of Nasser's provocations.
On the morning of the war, Sir Robin Day hosted a panorama discussion featuring Christopher Mayhew, Jeremy Thorpe, and Duncan Sandys. While Thorpe and Sandys stuck to the consensus narrative of self-defense, Mayhew broke from the script. What impact did this divergence have on the political landscape?
Mayhew's willingness to acknowledge the Arab perspective marked a significant departure from the mainstream narrative. His assertion that the Israelis are the aggressors challenged the prevailing views and sparked immediate backlash from pro-Israel factions, illustrating the contentious nature of the discourse surrounding the conflict.
The Labor Friends of Israel, LFI, quickly mobilized against Mayhew's comments, framing his recognition of Arab grievances as an attack on Israel. How did this reflect the lobbying environment of the time?
It reveals the intense pressure exerted by pro-Israel groups to maintain a unified front. Mayhew's comments were seen as a threat, prompting accusations of anti-Semitism and attempts to silence dissenting voices. This pattern of response highlights the challenges faced by politicians who dared to question established narratives.
Mayhew's commitment to Palestinian rights was shaped by his experiences, including a visit to Palestinian refugee camps in Jordan in 1953. How did these experiences influence his political stance?
His first-hand encounters with the realities of the Palestinian plight deeply impacted him. Such experiences often catalyze personal transformations, leading individuals to advocate for justice in ways that lobbying and political pressures cannot easily counteract. Mayhew's journey reflects a broader trend where witnessing injustice firsthand can ignite activism.
After a second trip to Israel in 1963, Mayhew's views solidified, framing Israelis as colonial settlers. His meetings with Israeli leaders did little to change his mind. What does this indicate about his evolving perspective?
It signifies a growing awareness of the colonial dimensions of the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. Mayhew's critiques became sharper, reflecting a deepening understanding of the dynamics at play. His observations about Israeli leaders also reveal his disillusionment with their attitudes towards Palestinians, further solidifying his commitment to advocating for Palestinian rights.
Challenges to Zionism and the price of dissent. Mayhew faced significant backlash for his views, including whispers of discontent from Israeli officials influencing his political career. How did this affect his standing within the Labor Party?
Mayhew's outspoken stance came at a cost. He was sidelined politically, forced to accept a less desirable position. Yet his resilience in the face of pressure exemplifies the struggles faced by those challenging dominant political narratives. His experiences highlight the personal sacrifices often made by advocates for marginalized causes.
Today we've explored Christopher Mayhew's journey as a critical voice during a pivotal moment in history. His willingness to challenge prevailing narratives reminds us of the importance of diverse perspectives in political discourse. What lessons can we draw from his experiences?
It's crucial to recognize that dissent is often met with resistance, but it is also essential for progress. Mayhew's story encourages us to listen to marginalized voices and question dominant narratives, especially in complex geopolitical contexts. As we reflect on these dynamics, how can we foster a more inclusive dialogue in our current political landscape?
Thank you for joining us. We hope this episode has provided insight into Christopher Mayhew's role in the June 1967 war and the ongoing struggle for Palestinian rights. Let's continue to explore how historical narratives shape our understanding of contemporary issues.
See you next time on History Unveiled. We'll be back with more stories that shape our world.